Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tent of Abraham. Tamir Kreisman from Jerusalem, Israel. We continue with Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. I missed you guys, I just wanted you to know that. I haven't been around for the last couple of weeks, well 2-3 weeks actually. Like I said, it was Rosh Hashanah going right into Yom Kippur, and I did want to get something out before, but then I got sick. Actually, Anarina and I got sick. I just want to tell you a little bit about a Yom Kippur miracle that happened, right? So Anarina got sick on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, and I got sick on Shabbat. Like, that's when it just hit. Nothing more than a cold, but sometimes those basic colds are like the worst. I mean, the worst. And so I'm like, okay, I got to fast in 3 days. It's Yom Kippur. It's the holiest day of the year. This can't be happening now. What's going on? For 3 days, we were praying to God before we get to Yom Kippur that this thing should just be removed from us so we could concentrate on the davening and everything. And lo and behold, Yom Kippur miracle. Seriously, I was feeling bad up until the fast came in. From the moment the fast came in until the moment it was out, it was like our sickness was put on hold. No joke, on hold. 10 minutes after the thing, boom, oh, there it is, came back full force. It was put on hold, I'm telling you. It was an incredible fast. Wasn't hungry, wasn't thirsty, wasn't feeling bad. Blowing my nose a bunch, but not even as much as you would when you were sick. In any case, Baruch Hashem, really, we got to focus on the davening. In any case, now we're already in Sukkot. So, Chag Sameach. Okay, and something else I heard of, which is actually relevant to now. We're talking about the Ark. Right now we're getting to the new world as Noah just left the Ark. But before that, once trouble is coming and everything, a lot of people think, oh yeah, okay, God will save me. He can, but in what case did God ever do that other than telling the people, listen, you need to prepare because this is what's coming, right? Build the Ark, build the Sukkah. What is the Sukkah for? It's for Gog and Magog. It's for the things to come, right? God gives us everything that we need, but if we sit back and relax, say, well, God will save me, no, there's that joke of the guy's flood and he's like, oh, God, save me, helicopter, boat, this, that, go, he dies, he goes to God, why didn't you save me? I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter. God gives us everything that we need in order for us to do for ourselves. What, God couldn't put Noah in a magical box? Sure he could do whatever. But that's not how this world works. We have everything we need. Sometimes we just need that direction and that instruction. So that's what the purpose of the Ark was. That's what the purpose of Sukkot is, and everything is in the Torah. So, pay attention. Without further ado, we conclude chapter 23. This is chapter 23c. The last part's called The New World. Let's start with some Tehillim. Hallelu et Adonai, Kol Goyim, Shabechuhu, Kol Haomim, Ki Gavar, Aleinu Chasdo, Ve'emet Adonai, Leolam, Hallelujah. Okay, so the conclusion of our saga is what would shape the world we live in today for better and for worse. Now, this is, of course, the evolution of the chosen people. Why is Israel the chosen people? Because Israel are the people who chose. Plain and simple, and who continue to choose. I'm not going to do that. That one's done away with. I'll just faith, and God will do the rest. Contradictory to basically every single instance of God coming forth towards his people, right? Okay, no problems. Just put these things in perspective. When everyone in the world had a chance to choose God, it was Israel alone who said, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and we will hear. In that order, okay? Doesn't matter what it says. Comes from you, we're going to do it. Oh yeah, what is it that you said? No problem. Done. We're about to find out the origins of where the world came from, where you came from. And we'll dive into that even more next week. But right now we're focusing on Noah and his kids and everything exiting the ark and what do they see. So just remember, no matter what we read here, no matter how it may impact you, you can always choose. That's what this comes down to. You can choose because that is the power granted to us by the Almighty. And that is all the power you will ever need. You have the right to choose, yes? Okay, but obviously, biblically speaking, You see how they do that? You get it, right? Another thing, the rainbow, a very holy covenant between God and all of man that was turned into something extremely unholy. Understand, everything in the world that is unholy is the polar opposite of what is holy, and that is in the Torah. Anyway, this is the new world. Rabbi Tzadok said, for 12 months all the creatures were in the ark. They went in and they came out the same day 1 year later, but it only rained and flooded for 40 days. And that was more than enough to cover the entire earth. For reference, let's just read the verses in the Torah to see where we're at. Okay, so Genesis 8, 1 through 6. And God remembered Noah and all the beasts and all the cattle that were with him in the ark, and God caused a spirit to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. It's, spirit, it's ruach, right? Wind, but we know wind is also, it's wind and it's spirit. It could be both. And the springs of the deep were closed, and the windows of the heavens and the rain from the heavens were withheld. By the way, something I just saw on like one of these science channels, I think it was last week, it says that just now scientists discovered pools of water, of fresh water under the Earth's core that is 3 times the amount of all the waters of all the oceans of the world. We're reading it now, right? But they just discovered this. In other words, so again, science now proves Torah. Okay? All that water is under earth. Yeah, we know. We have known. Nobody listens to us. That's okay. And the water receded off the earth more and more, and the water diminished at the end of 150 days. And the ark came to rest in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters constantly diminished until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st of the month, the mountain peaks appeared. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made. Remember that, okay? So remember when we were, there were weeks and weeks with the raven, okay? That thing took a long time. And then the dove, and then still sitting there until they were finally allowed to leave. Now let's just take a look at verse 14 from chapter 8. And in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry, meaning all of it. It was all gone. If we count today, the 2nd month, it would be Iyar, okay? Meaning the 1st month is Nisan. But this predates the first command given to Israel as a nation, changing the countings of the month. Remember, God said in Exodus, Chodesh hazeh hu chodesh rishon lachem. It's going to be the first of your months. The rest of the world is Tishrei, but for you, Nisan is number 1. So right now, the 2nd month is Cheshvan, exactly when the flood began. So the 1st month, like I said, Tishrei, 2nd Cheshvan, and the doors opened on the day that they were shut on the 17th of Cheshvan 1 year later, but they remained in the ark for 10 days after that, bringing us to the 27th day of the 2nd month. And Noah stood and prayed before the Holy One, blessed be He. Now we're going to see what Noah was asking in a minute, but our sages want us to know that Noah was praying every single day. It wasn't just, okay, I can't take it anymore. He was praying before. He was praying beforehand. Again, I picked up a lot of very interesting books. Did you know that there's an actual extra-biblical text about the books of Noah? What went down? How Noah exactly came to build the ark? Did God speak to him directly, or was it through something that he found? Very interesting. No contradictions here. Not for this class. We're doing Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. Okay. And so the question is, why was Noah not answered? If he was praying for a year, why was he only answered when he was answered, almost a year later? It says, and God remembered Noah. Okay? Every day, this man was praying. And this could be a question for us all. When we pray to God, why does he not necessarily answer us when we ask? And the answer for that is because God knows what time it is, and we do not. Let's say God wants to give us exactly what we want, but at the wrong time. It's not good for us. Oh, thank you for that. This is exactly, no, but that's a bad time. This is why we have to trust in God that he gives us what we need when we need it. In most cases, it's not at all what we ask for. It's what we really want, but it's not really what we really need. The Stones talked about that. This is called, as we had discussed before, et ratzon, literally translated as desired time. Okay, but what it means is auspicious time or time of favor. Et is time, ratzon. Ratzon is desire, but desire of who? It's an open channel from between us and between our Creator for very specific things. These are the times where things can actually happen. Okay? The generations of the fallen knew all these times, as well as the angels who govern whatever it is they were asked for. And they would get answers immediately because every single, did you know this? Okay, I'm going to tell you something right now. There is a different angel for every single minute of every single day, for every direction of the wind, for when the sun is at every different angle, and so on and so forth. If you know the names of these angels and you call out to them at the correct time, in the correct place, with the correct requests, with the right frame of mind, guess what? You control nature. None of this was new. Adam did this. Seth did this. Enoch did this. Methuselah did this. Noah did this. Okay? All right. Oh, by the way, then Shem did this. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did this. Joseph did this. Moses did this. Aaron did this. They knew these things. We don't even, by the way, we have this information today. I have this information today. It's accessible today, but don't go there. No one today is able to do this. Don't even go there. It's like, whoa, they knew this. They knew this. Okay. So the generation of the dispersion did the same. We're going to be speaking about them next week, the Tower of Babel. How did they build this tower and everything, okay? But when it came to the flood, it had nothing to do with the angels, but rather with the will of God. Daddy's busy right now cleaning up your mess, so when I'm done, I'll hear what you have to say. In the meantime, just sit tight, Noah, okay? All right. Remember how important these times are. These are the times where the gates of heaven open to receive specific prayers with specific intentions, kavanot, right? When do we ask for specific things? Very, very auspicious times throughout the year. Okay, usually we share with our group what to pray for, when to pray for it, and we actually see these things come into fruition. We've seen it in our lives, okay? Ever since I got together with Anna Rena, she's like, okay, now we got to do this, and this day, on this, on that day. And there's a whole thing. We got lots of days. Every day is something different. If you start putting this, we have a big calendar. Every day something else is marked. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to focus on this. Got to focus on that. Anyway, so look at what God said to us in Isaiah 49:8. כה אמר אדוני, בעת רצון עניתיך, וביום ישועה עזרתיך. So said the Lord, in the time of favor, et ratzon, I answered you. Not in whenever you wanted, but in the time of favor. I gave you these times. You need to know these times. You need to use these times. And what, you think you need some sort of Kabbalistic book to do it? No, you don't. God gave us these very specific times. If you read the book of Numbers, that's where it says what happens on the first day, on the second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day of Sukkot, and so on. All your dates are right there in the Torah. They are all right there in the Torah. In a time of favor, I answered you. And on a day of salvation, I helped you, and I will watch you, and I will make you for a people of a covenant, to establish a land, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages. The millions of Jews who died in the Holocaust, murdered as the world just watched, and in fact, in most cases, participated. Did God not see this? This made many of the survivors question God. Like I said, half of, from my father's side, my grandparents on my father's side, there was like, okay, I'll still be how should we say, traditional Jew, but I got beef with God. I mean, I just saw my whole family slaughtered. On my mother's side, they're like, okay, so where's Mashiach, right? Both were kind of off with that. Nevertheless, it's either strengthened your belief or it kind of distanced you, because how could this be? If we are the chosen people, how could this happen? And if there is a God and he did this to us, I want no part of it. That type of situation, right? But then again, like we said, anybody who goes through the Holocaust, you can never judge them. It's like them going through the burning fires of Gehenom for years and then coming out and being like, okay, deal. You understand? Angels on earth, their sins are removed from them after what they've been through. So in fact, when a person goes through a trial like that, hell just came to earth. Like we said, they're clean. Angels don't judge them. And obviously, I'm using the most extreme cases. However, when they cried out to God and he didn't answer, because again, you hear testimony, I cried out to God, where are you, God? Please help us, God, right? That does not mean that God did not see and hear everything that was happening. Of course he did. God is the one who orchestrated this. God orchestrates everything. If you guys haven't understood that yet, everything that happens, if you read Isaiah, all the good and the evil, it's all from God. Everything. God does this for a reason. And you think their prayers are gone and like, nah, it doesn't count because it's not the right time? Wrong. They get answered on the right time for the right prayer, but prayers are never lost. You must understand. God, what, you think you're praying to the Almighty to be like, not now? That's not our God. In a time of favor, I have answered you. On the day of salvation, I helped you. It was not that time of favor nor day of salvation until the day did arrive. But what does he say right after? And I will watch you always. I will watch you to see how you handle yourself, whether you receive the outcome you want or not. Whether you perish or survive, I will watch you, and you will know that I am just. You will. We all will know, right? God pours His Spirit on all flesh. There's no doubt. We're going to see. It says we're going to see all the things that happened throughout the generations of this world, all the hardships, all the pain, everything, and we're all going to be on our faces saying, Baruch Hashem, wow, thank you for making it exactly like that. I had to go to the most of extreme circumstances because sometimes when less of such an occurrence happens to us, we throw fits as if we are owed something. That is where we are tested. Again, I say this, okay? Go to the extreme and these people still manage to come out to survive and to start lives, okay? And again, I'm the third generation from that, and seeing, let's say, how my parents were raised, children of Holocaust survivors, it's not an easy thing. And yet these same Holocaust survivors were the ones that built up this state of Israel. They fought for the land after they ran away from the Nazis. It's amazing. Anyway, so whatever we think that we're going through today, whatever kind of hardships that we believe that are happening to us today, just seriously, look 70 years back and say, no, it's okay to feel kind of foolish, right? Like, okay. And why? Again, God is testing you. I see you. I'm watching you. That hardship, I gave it to you. That's on me. That's me. What are you going to do about it? You're going to say, why me? No. Or you're going to handle yourself appropriately. Everything is a test, always. And God is always watching. Even when no one else is. The most fitting words I found in the Torah for the right attitude in the most extreme circumstances are in Daniel 3:17-18, when they were facing a certain imminent and excruciating death. I've been through these verses plenty of times before, but I love it. Listen to them. Behold, there is our God. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said to Nebuchadnezzar, no, we're not bowing down to your staff. It's like furnace time, okay? You know? Scorched earth. Behold, there is our God whom we worship, and He can save us from the burning fiery furnace and from your hand, O King. He will save us. Right? And if not, oh, and by the way, okay, hold on. I'll finish reading this. I'll give you the thing. And if not, let it be known. And if not, if God chooses, because it's His world, not to save us, let it be known to you, O King, that we will not worship your God, neither will we prostrate ourselves to the golden image that you have set up. Whether or not, we're with God, right? So I read some commentary on this. They stopped where it says, He can save us from the burning fiery furnace, and from your hands, O King, He will save us. All right, that's where they stopped. Between these two verses, Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel, came to them and said, listen, you need to put a disclaimer right there, okay? Because God's not doing it for your sake, He's doing it for His sake. So that's where they said, and if not, let it be known to you, we ain't bowing, okay? That's it. Anyway, good stuff. Remember this. No matter what the outcome is, whether you like the outcome or not, God always knows best, and that is where we are tested. Period. And if God had chosen not to protect them, then they gave their lives for the sanctity of God's name. They did good. Then these would immediately pass all of the purification of hell and ascend to the highest of heights of the worlds to come, and that is Chayei Olam Haba. Like we said, there are 3 levels to the world to come before the actual time shifts over to the world to come. It's Chelek Ba'olam Haba, a part in the world to come, Ben Olam Haba, son of the world to come, and Chayei Olam Haba, the life of the world to come. And the Chayei Olam Haba are people that give their lives for God's name's sake, period. That's it. Give your life. Chayei Olam Haba. Therefore, when we pray and we don't get what we want, listen up now, because this happens to everyone, right? Right. When we pray and we don't get what we want, that does not mean that our prayers are lost. That's not how this works, like we discussed. You keep on praying whether or not you get what you want. At some point, you got to stop praying for a specific thing and saying, listen, God, I really want this. This is what I'm really asking for. However, and I'm telling you right now, personal experience, I do this as well, and Arena does this as well. Whenever we have a decision to make, okay? Whether it's a business decision, a personal decision, whether I get, whether I get a job in or not, and should I take it or not? I said, Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the Universe, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. Right now, everything seems kosher, okay? We have to move forward, right? This goes back to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, right? In all your ways, right? Trust in the Lord with all your heart. In all your ways acknowledge him. He will direct your paths. You'll make your crooked paths straight, which means you have to move forward. You can't just sit there and say, okay, God will show me. That's not how this works. You're going to miss it again. God's not going to build you a boat and put you in the boat and then close it and then bring the flood. That's how you miss out on it. So many people I've spoken to, I'm waiting on God to show me. That is the wrong attitude. You have to move forward in faith. That's what it is. Because even if it's wrong, if you're moving in faith, you're in the right direction. So again, you have to keep on praying whether or not you get what you want. It is the prayer itself that makes all the difference, whether you see it or not. So like we say, we pray to God, this seems like a good thing, I'm going to move forward. However, and I make a disclaimer in heaven, if this will not bring honor to you and honor to this family, and if this will not glorify your name, again, if I'm doing a voice recording or something, it's some business thing, it's not necessarily glorifying God's name, right? But it's not glorifying God's name either. You see what I'm saying? Okay. In other words, let's say the parnasa that would come from there would help me to keep the lights on and so on, thereby glorifying God's name. Everything is connected. But bottom line is, if this will not do good, please remove it from me. Let it be known I want it as far away from me as possible. I do not want it. If it's good, if you believe that it's good, absolutely, I accept it humbly. And of course, you tithe on everything you get, right? But if it's not, take it from me, take it far, 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 far away. Mamash, you do this every single time. Watch what happens in your life. Every single decision. But the worst thing that you can do is just sit there and say, no, I'm waiting for God. Don't do that. Don't. Everything is fluid, okay? Everything moves. Just read. Okay. So, in most cases, we may never see it, but that is only for our benefit as we are called to believe it. If you actually saw, well, what should I do? What's the right choice? In my what was it? Yeah, probably in my 20s, even my early 30s, I had no idea. Because of my fall in my late 20s, I was so terrified to make the wrong move. There's no room for error because I had already uprooted my life twice, lost everything I had twice, right? Started from scratch, I think, in my life 3 or 4 times. At some point, it's like, okay, I've been here before, no big deal, right? But people are so terrified to make the wrong move. But if you give it all to God, then it's not the wrong move, but you can't make the wrong move by default. And even if you don't like where you're going into, that's God putting you there because he needs to test you. It's a trial. He needs you to go through that, you see? So don't even complain what comes upon you if you don't like it. This is all these things are connected. This is all one and the same. If you have this attitude, by default, you will never fall, you will never lose, you will never make the wrong decision by default again. But we're talking about if you're like fully focused on this. Okay. God is the one who has given you a gift in the form of inconvenience at the very least, to trouble beyond what we believe we can handle, to life-threatening situations. God gives it all to us. Why is this a gift? Because God just gave you your time to pray to him. He will answer in his time, of course, because it's all his time. Why aren't you answering? Who do you think you are? Talking to God like that? No. Again, think about it like this. If you had a king, okay, I don't know, who is a person we can actually respect, a world leader we can respect today? Nobody. Okay, let's say you were standing before King David, okay? Hey, king, can you really help me? No, you would grovel. You'd be like, dear king, please, with respect. How much more so? The creator of all things, right? It's also how we approach God. Everything matters. Everything matters. But if we didn't have the trouble, then we wouldn't have prayed. Sometimes when we kind of float and everything is good, and if there's no trouble in your life, that's when you start to worry. If you start to float away, God's like, I kind of miss you. I think we need to talk. Boom, this goes out, that goes out. What's going on? What's going on? Oh, God, why is this? Here we go. Hello, light bulb, something's going on here. Always keep an open channel of communication. God gave us a reason, and that's all we need. Our days are numbered, time is precious. What are 120 years on this earth compared to eternity? You have to put things into perspective. Noah stood and prayed before the holy and blessed be he, saying before him, sovereign of all the worlds, bring me forth from this prison, for my soul is faint because of the stench of lions, bears, and tigers. He didn't say lions, tigers, bears. Oh my, right? Lions, bears, and tigers. Thus say, I wonder, did they take, the Wizard of Oz probably took it from here, because, this did come 2,000 years ago. Okay, the word that they used to translate prison is masger, which is derived from the word sagul, sealed, closed, shut. Tizgo et hadelet, close the door, right? Which is the same wording that we saw when God closed and sealed the ark. We can see this in Genesis 7:16, and the Lord shut him in, vaisgo Hashem ba'ado. Vaisgo seger, right? Oh, actually, our sages say that for all the 12 months, Noah did not stop praying to God. And as we know, God answered him when he did. In the meantime, he was drowning, if you will, in the stench of the animals. Now, Midrash Rabbah says that he never fully slept for the entire year. And one time a lion bit him while he was trying to feed it. So then you have to ask, could God not have just made it a little bit more comfortable for Noah, just after everything he did? He was pretty much saving not only the human race, but all of the living creatures on the world. And he was ridiculed his whole life, and now he's locked up in this thing for a little bit more comfortable, a little bit less stenchy, stinky. Couldn't God remove the smell from the ark? Everything else about the ark was a miracle within a miracle. We already learned all about that. So why keep the stench in there specifically? And furthermore, did God not tell Noah in 7:1? And the Lord said to Noah, come into the ark, you and all your household, for it is you that I have seen as a righteous man before me in this generation. Noah was the guy that God chose to jumpstart humanity. He kept himself pure and separated himself from everything. God gave him his word. This is in the bag. This is happening. You're my guy, Noah. So why did Noah have to struggle after Genesis 6:18 that says, and I will set up my covenant with you, and you shall come to the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you? Did Noah do something to deserve this struggle, especially after God told him what he did? Here's your answer. Again, I'll ask that question. Did Noah do something? Do any of us do something or to deserve this struggle, especially after God told him what he did? In other words, I chose you, I'm making a covenant with you, it's all good, everything's gonna be good. Did Noah do something to deserve it? Your answer is, did Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob? Did Joseph? Did Moses? Did David? Do you understand? God established covenants with all of them. And that's when their trouble began, you see. All these great men struggled like you can't even imagine throughout their lives. And this was after God chose them and made a covenant with them. You still want to make a covenant with God? Because that's when your troubles are just going to start. How badly do you want it, you see? Do you think these troubles are troubles? Or is it a refinement to elevate you, to remove all the filth from you through pain in this world? But boy, are you connected to where you need to go. What does that tell you? That tells you that in order to get close to God, you have to let this world go. And if you do, your struggle in this world will be paid to you in full, both in this world and in the world to come. So I ask you this, are you struggling in your life? I know the answer is yes. Across the board, no matter who you are or where you come from, you struggle, we struggle. Such is life. That struggle, that's your ark. That struggle is also your correction. That struggle is your refinement. And it is through this struggle that you will become closer to God because he chose you. Are you going to choose him? So if you have no struggles in life, then you better enjoy this one, really, because that's all there is for you if you got no struggles. Through me, said Noah, will all the righteous crown thee with the crown of sovereignty, because thou hast brought me forth from this prison, as it is said in Psalms 142:8. הוציאה ממסגר נפשי, להודות את שמך בי, יחטיאו צדיקים כי תגמול עליי. Take my soul out of confinement, ממסגר, confinement, right? To give thanks to your name, because of me the righteous will crown you, because you will recompense me. Right, so we got Psalms 142, but these were the words of Noah. What is the Hebrew for the word confinement? Like we said, it is masger, and this comes from the word seger, lisgo, seger. What is seger? Though we know them as lockdowns, as in let's destroy the world's economy to further our agenda by forcing people under the penalty of law to remain confined to their homes. It's called a seger in Hebrew. Yeah. So again, why did Noah have to suffer and struggle within the ark? The words in the verse our sages brought in Psalms tell us, lehodot et shimcha, to give thanks to your name. This is only for our benefit. Noah realizes that he was not a perfect tzaddik. He knew this. We all know this, right? Like if we're real. I know some people believe that they are perfect and flawless, but okay, no problem. I'm not the one to judge. God will judge. He could have done more, and we will see this later on. Noah could have. So, what God did had nothing to do with Noah's own merit, but rather it was more God's mercy. Rabbi Levitas, a man of Yavne, said, he separated the males from the females, all of which came to the ark, when they came into the ark, as it is said, and Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives. There was actually a separation. Genesis 7:7. Verily the males were on one side, and the females were on the other. When they went forth from the ark, when they came out, he caused the males to be joined with the females, as it is said, go forth of the ark, you, your wife, your sons, and thy sons and thy sons' wives. Oh, your sons and your sons' wives with thee. It's okay. Anyway, you get it. You, your wife, your sons' wives. They were separate, but going forth, you go forth together. Now, in a show of hands, how many of you understand? Show of hands, please. I'd love for you guys to participate, okay? In a show of hands, how many of you understand the basic common sense of separating the males from the females aboard the ark? I'm just talking about the animals right now, okay? Right? Yes? Okay. Correct. Because they were packed into the gills as it was, what would have happened if the animals started mating in confinement? Of course they'd start mating. That's what they do. And it's not like they go through 9 months, although an elephant goes through what? Was it 11 months or 13 months? But that's an elephant. Everybody else, everything else over there. So what else does this show us? It shows us that the miracle of the ark was even greater than what we originally thought, right? As each animal essentially had to have their own space, except for the kosher males and the kosher females, perhaps. In other words, not together, but still all the kosher ones here and so on. Now, in regard to the spiritual ramifications of separating the males from females, do we understand why? Okay? Spiritually speaking, it all comes down to modesty. Did you know you are not allowed to watch animals mate? It is unholy. So if you are watching some sort of, Discovery Channel documentary type of situation, and it's the leopard's month of the year, fast forward that. You're still watching an act of, it's not fornication, an act of, stuff. You shouldn't be watching it, is what I'm saying. Not to mention, that boat would sound like a jungle very quickly, right? You don't want any of that. He was struggling. He's like, God, I can't, please, forget about the stench. I don't care anymore, but it sounds like a jungle in here, right? Why do men and women sit separately in synagogues? Well, a kosher synagogue anyway. For the same reason. Not talking about the people who are going to start going at it in a synagogue, but that's not the point. The point is everything is a spiritual ramification. There need not be needless conversation between husbands and wives or singles while prayer is going on. No flirting, no staring, no glancing. You are there to focus on God. You're not gonna get your wife by flirting with her on God's time in a synagogue, or your potential wife. God does that, and if he's looking at this, like, you have come to the wrong place, son. And we know this. How do we know this? That this separation between males and females is crucial in every synagogue, or like I said, kosher synagogue, because they did so in the temple. And if they did so in the temple, who's going to argue that? Oh, that's no longer relevant. I beg to differ. People think this was just a suggestion, but then again, look today at any synagogue, temple, or house of worship under the guise of Judaism. If they sit together by default, they are mixing something holy with something unholy. Not saying that any part is holy or unholy. The sitting together is something that is unholy. If it was done in the temple, it should be done in the synagogues, because the synagogue is a small temple. Therefore, by default, whatever may come from those places, even if they seem good and wholesome, on the outside, the core, the foundation, is rotten. And guess what? We all know this already. So, why did Noah beg God to get him out of there? What was the final straw? Ham. Not pig. That's a whole nother thing, but ham. According to Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, Ham and his wife had relations in the ark, either among the animals or within the same room as his parents and siblings and all the creepy crawlings things. So Noah already knew that whatever would come out of that, which we know to be Canaan, would be accursed. And so it was. Now, also the other thing is, you understand, they can't be with their wives if the wives, after the menstruation cycle, and they don't wait 7 days and then don't go to the mikveh, right? There's no fresh rain where they didn't have baths in that traditional sense. You understand? Plus, when the whole world is being put to death and the angel of death is right outside those walls, only a maniac, okay, can, with his wife at that time, also kind of gross in front of your parents. Just saying, Look away, Dad. No, it doesn't work that way. So anyway, Ham did this on the ark. None of the animals did. but this one did. That's why Noah said, let me out of here already. So my other kids, Shem and Yefet, who were considered tzaddikim, would be able to have kosher relations with their wives and produce righteous offspring to counterbalance the abomination that was on its way. Verily, a man with his wife went forth, thy sons and thy sons' wives with thee, says our text. Now, if you can find some of my older Noah teachings, you'll see exactly what we discussed over there regarding what Ham did and just how Canaan became to be. But like we said, there are so many faces of the Torah. This is just another angle, okay? Watch those other Noah texts, Noah videos. Either it's Noah or the end of some of the Genesis ones. But I'm basically discussing what goes on over there, bringing you sources and everything. Ham does not, he doesn't get a thumbs up in any of these things. All right. He blessed them that they might increase and multiply in the earth, as it is said, and God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Genesis 9:1. Why did God say this only now in chapter 9 when he only told Noah to leave the ark in chapter 8 and blessed all the animals but not him? Remember, at the end of chapter 8, verses 20 and 21, we read, and Noah built an altar to the Lord, and he took all of the clean animals and all of the clean fowl, and he brought up burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled the pleasant aroma, and the Lord said to himself, I will no longer curse the earth because of man, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. It says ki yetzer lev, it's the inclination, not imagination. Inclination of man's heart is evil from his youth, and I will no longer smite all evil things as I have done. And this is where Noah fell short, the moment that he actually gave this sacrifice. He did what he could. He tried to convince all of humanity, or whatever was left of humanity, clearly there was nothing left of humanity to save, to return to God, and he did so for 150 years. No one can take that away from him. Don't even try. But what he didn't do is pray for them. He didn't pray for them, right? Nowhere does it say that. Our sages say that if he would have, as we read, built an altar to the Lord and took all of the clean animals and the clean fowl and brought up the burnt offerings to the Lord, then God would not have destroyed the world. This was before the flood. He warned them, don't do it. The flood's coming. Please don't do it. Come on, guys, stop. But not once did he pray for them on their behalf to God. As we read in the next verse, and the Lord smelled the pleasant aroma, and the Lord said to himself, I will no longer curse the earth. In other words, he smelled it, and then, so that means that could have been done before. For the imagination, the inclination of man's heart is evil from his youth. I will no longer smite all living things as I have done. There are many correlations between Abraham and Noah also, right? You guys know where I'm going with this. Both were the only man in the world at the time who did not stray. Obviously, we're not talking about Noah and Shem and Ever, okay? But Abraham was the one who took that thing to step up. But Abraham sought out God since he was a small child. Noah built the ark to save himself and whoever would come with him before God destroyed the world. Okay, God said, okay, here we go. Build this ark, I'm destroying the world. I guess I better build the ark. What about the rest of the world, God? Are there 50 righteous people in the world? Say, yeah, no, that didn't happen. Abraham prayed for the inhabitants of Sodom and Gomorrah, who were a reincarnation of the generation of dispersion of the Tower of Babel, who were a reincarnation of the generation of the flood. That's why Abraham was chosen, and God showed the entire universe after the generation of the flood that no matter what kind of evil had been done, it was all worth it for Abraham's sake, meaning all evil that everyone else did. Because of all this, what came out from all this was this guy, totally worth it. Thus saith the Lord, not me. But I agree. As he and his descendants would not only rectify all the damage done, but elevate humanity to a higher level than Adam in the Garden of Eden. In any case, back to Noah. Only once Noah sacrificed to God did God bless him and his sons. And what is the blessing by which God blessed them for all of eternity? These are the 7 Noahide laws which can be found in chapter 9. Laws are a blessing because they come from God. God says, do this, don't do that, so you can live well and have life in this life and in the next life, in the world to come. So when people are very quick to dismiss, they are dismissing everything and any chance that they actually have. But that's fine. Whoever needs to stay will stay. Whoever needs to go will go. Excuse me. So I've taught on these before, several teachings on the 7 Noahide laws. You can check out the one on Genesis called The Way of the World. Oh, it's called The New World. Right. So the teaching on Genesis called The Way of the World for a detailed breakdown from the actual verses, what the Noahide laws are and where they come from, what the words are and everything. But I'll just name them here before we continue. Okay? 1, not to worship idols. Yes, that means Jesus also, okay? Even entering into a church is idolatry. It's a house. It's idolatry. You can't even walk into there. Even if Noahide laws. You don't have to be a Jew. A non-Jew who believes in the one true God, you don't walk into a church. Period. 2, not to curse God. That means trying to pronounce the name. You can't pronounce God's name properly, but we see the same people that usually kind of walk into those buildings and follow this dude love to throw around the Yahoo, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? That's a no. That's you have to live by these laws. 3, do not commit murder. That includes slander and abortion. Don't kill a living thing. Also, what is slander? You speak bad about a person, you destroy them while they are still alive. That is called blood on your hands. That is murder. 4, do not commit adultery or sexual immorality. Plain and simple. 5, not to steal. That includes lying and manipulating. That's stealing people's time. When someone, forgive me if I get emails and people are asking these most ridiculous things, I already see where they're coming from. Like I said, if people want to change, they ask very specific questions. If people are looking for the truth, they ask for specific questions. And I've been doing this enough already to see who's what and who's where. Okay, so I don't answer every email because it's pointless. I have people that are actually really working on change, and I want to give my time to them, and so on. All right. So again, lying and manipulating. That is stealing people's time. People's time is gezel. You cannot give a person their time back. It doesn't matter the money. It's the time that's more valuable than all the money in the world. 6, not to eat flesh torn from a living animal. It's basically humane killing. Not talking about the whole concept of hunting for food. Okay, I'm talking about humane killing. You still have to respect the animals, even if you are going to eat them. 7, to establish courts of justice, not like the kangaroo courts that we have today anywhere in the world. Now, so those are the 7 Noahide laws. Basic, like I said, if you want, you can go check out the other place for a detailed account. Now you will see that the world at large does not hold to these laws, which is why the final cleansing is on its way. But as God promised, it is not the earth that is going to suffer. God said the earth is not going to suffer because of man. So it's not going to happen like that, okay? Nor will God destroy all of man, only those who do not live according to these 7 Noahide laws. 7. That's just 7. Just 7? Yes, my friend, 7 Noahide laws grants you the world to come, life eternal, with the creator of all things. 7. If you're a Jew, more than 7. But if you're not, 7. But you got to keep to them. You can't make excuses. If you have questions about that, oh boy, I'll ask these questions. I'll answer them. You're not going to like my answers, but I got them. Let's continue. Noah found a vine which was lying there, which had come out of the Garden of Eden. It had its clusters with it. Dun, dun, dun. The Hebrew actually says a vine which had been expelled from the Garden of Eden. Very interesting. The word is gulsha. Same word as Adam got expelled, vaigaresh ha'adam. Also, girushin is divorce, to send someone away. Just as Adam had placed in the Garden of Eden, just as Adam had been placed in the Garden of Eden, and a new world was right there for him, now Noah emerged from the ark into a new world. And what does he find? Is a piece of that forbidden tree right there. Now, we've discussed this in our group, how the truest form of tshuva is same person, same place, same trial. But if a person cannot rectify the damage caused in their lifetime, they get reincarnated for the sake of making the necessary corrections. Given that Noah was a direct descendant from Adam, as we could read Genesis 5, right? And God just reset the world, it was only fitting that he be given the opportunity to correct Adam's original sin. Therefore, the vine that had been expelled from the Garden of Eden, likely with Adam, was indeed from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, aka the tree of death. Now, let's see the similarities and differences over here. He took from its fruit and he ate. What did Adam do in the garden? What did he do? He squeezed from the grapes and he drank. The Radal says that the difference here is the intoxication, right? When we eat grapes, we don't get intoxicated. But if we squeeze the grapes and we ferment the grapes and, we make the wine, goes through the process, then that which is fine, then apparently you can ferment pretty much anything. You could make pineapple beer. Did you know this? Anyway. Okay, so he ate the grapes. So Adam wasn't, when I say Adam was intoxicated, he wasn't drunk, okay? None of this is as simple as this is. This is for our own basic understanding. You learn some deeper text, you're like, whoa. We touched on it a little bit with the Adam and Eve and the serpent and Satan and all that stuff. So Adam was, when I say again, intoxicated, no, go back to those teachings. Adam was intoxicated while Noah was not, simply because he ate the grapes and did not drink of them. Okay, now look what it says about Noah. He desired or coveted after them in his heart. He ate from them, then he coveted from them after his heart. Listen to the Hebrew. V'chamad otam belibo. First of all, one of the thou shalt nots, lo tachmod, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's property, right? Where have we seen this language of chemed, covet, desire? Genesis 3:6. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was a delight to the eyes and that the tree was desirable. Ki ta'avahu la'inayim v'nechmad. Nechmad. Chamad, nechmad is the same word. Nechmad ha'etz le'askil. Here we go. He's getting there. He's getting pulled. Now you can recall that we discussed that whatever went down in the Garden of Eden was not only about eating from the forbidden tree per se, but rather that it was about sexual immorality, specifically with Satan and the serpent, mixing up of the species of that which is physical and that which is spiritual and that which is good and that which is evil. A whole mishmash. God created things in complete, perfect order, and everything just went like that. Here we go, and deal with that. So we've been untangling that knot ever since. And also, again, when I say Adam, whenever I say Adam, Adam is Adam and Chava. So if it's the woman, it's not just the woman and the man. When I say Chava, it's also Adam, right? Because Adam and Eve make up Adam. Mankind, not humankind. Mankind. As all the evil spirits that women use on men in the world comes from the serpent, Adam's first wife. So don't forget that either, right? There was that separation. Zachar v'nekava bara otam, Genesis 1. Male and female, he made them. Back to back, separation. New wife came from Adam. Now Adam is. Okay. When she, his ex-wife, and Satan united with Eve, the serpent laid its filth in her, and through that deed, the filth of death would extend to every person until the end of time. We had also discussed that Noah would mess around with Adam's first wife, Noah, she who shall not be named, as we will see in a minute when it came to the language of the tent. I mentioned these things before. And we have also learned that anything that has to do with wine in these places that's kind of like, it usually relates to that. Wine, tent, problems immediately after, she's the one doing it. Also with Nadav and Avihu, right? And it said that they were intoxicated. Sitting there for 7 days meditating on God right in front of the Shekhinah? No, they were not intoxicated. They were intoxicated something else. It ain't about the grape. It ain't about the vine, okay? It ain't about the vine, not divine. Yes, okay. Now, look at what they call modern day feminism in the world today, and you'll know who's running the show. It's exactly that. Okay, so we've also learned, Solomon also said in Proverbs repeatedly, he warns this terrible woman that's out there whose job is to emasculate and destroy men. Right? Okay, so we know who's winning that battle. Winning, supposedly, that battle right now. This is straight up biblical. What is happening today in the world? Wow. No period like this ever going all the way back like what we got today. You see what is going on right now. They want to get us to miss our opportunity. It's not going to happen, obviously. We just got to do what we got to do. Okay. What we read here in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer is that what Noah went through, Solomon wrote in Proverbs 6:24-25. To guard you from an evil woman, from the smoothness of the alien tongue, lashon nachriya, foreign tongue, foreign fire that they brought in, esh zara. You see, it's all the same thing. Do not covet her beauty in your heart, and do not let her captivate you with her eyelids. The afafea. The eyelids, when they put specifically, and we also knew that from ancient Egypt, they used to tattoo the thing around their eyes. Even today, a lot of women, they wear the thing around the eyes. The power comes from the eyes. That's where you get it. Okay, window to your soul. So let's just compare the Hebrew for a true understanding over here. Noah experienced, he desired, coveted after them in his heart. V'chamadotam belibo in Hebrew. Solomon said, Al tachmod yofia bilvavcha. V'chamadotam belibo. Noah did. Al tachmod yofia belibcha. Do not covet her beauty in your heart. So was Noah really coveting the grape? No, it wasn't about the grape. The moment Noah ate from it, he lusted after it. This is the best grape I ever had. Will you be my girlfriend? It doesn't work like that, right? The moment Noah ate from it, he lusted after it as he became infected. Meaning, although he had kept himself physically pure before the flood, he failed to do so spiritually speaking after the flood. But as we know, he didn't stand a chance. Also, the other thing is, I know it's very easy. Oh, Abraham, but not Noah. Noah didn't have anybody else to fall back on. You understand? Even Abraham was raised in the yeshiva of Shem and Ever. And, Noah's like, listen, here's what happened. Later on, when Moses invoked God's mercy, he says, B'zchut Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov, remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Noah's like, remember, Enoch? No, Enoch's not here. Methuselah, he's dead. Okay, I'll build that boat. Let's build that boat. You understand? There's nobody to fall back on. He was like, give the guy a break. All right. So he didn't stand a chance. As a result of this lust, he planted a vineyard of it in the earth. Now we're just like going all over again. Because he wanted more, and he wanted it all, and he rooted this evil in the earth once again. He became a man of the earth, remember? So you see, and earth low, right? The lowliest now you're connecting that which made the first man fall in the earth, everything to come out, everything we're going to be eating. Okay. And what does it say? Bo bayom nistagsegu perotea. The very same day it produced fruit. Boom. There you go. Well, ain't that the truth? Nistagsagu is an interesting and appropriate choice of words as it has several words hidden within it. Lesagseg is to thrive, to prosper, to flourish. Shgaga, same shin gimel gimel hey, is error, ignorance, mistake. Siag, a warning, a boundary. Now I know that siag is also spelled with a samech and not a sin. However, there's two ways also to read the Hebrew because we also have kuf. Letter kuf is like this, and kaf is like this. We have aleph and ayin. We have aleph and hey. They're all the letters that make similar sounds that you could they could be interchangeable. The word would sound the same. There still is a correlation, even if the meaning is different. So anyway, on that day, the evil broke out, thrived, prospered, and flourished once again upon the earth. The same day, as poor Noah made a grave error due to simple ignorance. They're all true. That's why that word was used over here. As a result, a warning had been sent out that would cause separation between man and God. And hey, you can't have a party like that without Satan, right? Of course not. The Radal says that it was Satan who helped Noah plant the vine against his knowledge. It wasn't like he was necessarily standing right there. He was like, thanks, buddy. You know, Satan could do whatever. It makes things grow. Like we said, the bush, the thicket that the Isaac's ram got caught in, that was Satan. He became a thing, and he caught right? So that's what happened over there. Okay. He also became, the river on Abraham's way. He can do whatever he wants, right? Almost unlimited power over here, which has been granted to him by God, of course. To which our text directs us to Isaiah 17:11, but let's read 10 as well for just a better picture. For you forgot the God of your salvation, and the rock of your strength you did not remember. Because I planted you with pleasant saplings, and with the branch of a stranger you sow it. That's exactly what this is. It's exactly what he did. Now, verse 11. On the day of your planting you mingled. I'm going to read that in the Hebrew. Beyom, on the day, yom, day. Nita'acha, lintoa, to plant. Tesagsegi. There's that word right there. It says you mingled, but no, right? And in the morning, you cause your seed to blossom, a heap of harvest on a day of sickness and mortal pain. So, yeah, again, that was Isaiah 17, 10, and 11. And as a result of this, remember, this is just the cause. He drank of its wine. That was just the beginning. That was the gaze. That was the desire. Once you step in there, you're done. Once you walk, don't even look into her tent. Because if you look into her tent, she has you. You are not strong enough. Noah fell, Nadav and Avihu fell, King Solomon fell. Don't mess with it. As a result of all that, he drank of its wine. That's it. The moment he planted it, it grew, and he took of the grapes, and he squeezed them just like they did in the garden, as we read in 9:21, and he drank of the wine and became drunk, and he uncovered himself within his tent. Vayesht min hayayin, vayishaker, vayitgal betoch ohalo. What is this word vayitgal, poorly translated as uncovered? So if we look at Psalms 97:1, we see, Adonai malach tagel haaretz yismechu im rabim. The Lord has reigned, the earth will exult, right? So we have exult. Many islands will rejoice. So this translates as exalt. So he exalted in his tent, which is indeed more accurate because that's also the root of gdula, gadol, ligdol, right? The word we said was tagel, vaitgal. Greatness, great, large, to grow. Therefore, exalt can actually work. So what does vayitgal betoch ohala truly mean? He exalted inside her tent, right? It actually says ohala, not ohalo. There's the extra hey, making it in the female tense. It means he caused greatness in her tent, meaning Noah gave she who should not be named strength once again upon the earth. If Noah was the chosen one, the direct descendant of Adam, and the one by whom God chose to repopulate the world likened to Adam, then surely What's-Her-Face would do anything and everything in her power to destroy him, and on the way to emasculate him, which is literally what happens next. So by the way, if you don't already know this, it's important to know, how else was Noah likened to Adam? Adam was created without a foreskin. He was already circumcised, if you will, right? Didn't need to be circumcised because he was created perfect, right? Which is the klipa around the kedusha. That's what the foreskin is. It is the husk around the holiness, which sucks from the holiness. It draws from it. That's why there's all the negative sfirot. They're basically over the positive sfirot. This is why we are commanded to remove it. And this is why Avraham, who began to do the proper tikkun for Adam, was given this privilege to have his image like the first man. Meaning going down to Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Noah, however, was born without a foreskin. The moment Adam sinned, God put the foreskin back, and that's why he says he was mashach be'olato. He's pulling on his foreskin. When you pull on the foreskin, it doesn't mean that he was literally sitting there and yanking, his thing. We're talking about that. The olah, like we said, is the tum'ah. He was fornicating with What's-Her-Face, creating demons. That's what that means. So Noah was born without a foreskin, which is why when Methuselah, his grandfather, knew that he was the chosen one to bring the rest. That's why I called him Noach. He named him, not his father. The father names the son. But in this case, the grandfather was a tzaddik. Lamech was not so much a tzaddik. He also fell away. He named Noah. He goes, finally, this is the sign we've been waiting for. A new and improved Adam, if you will, to the world in a form of a do-over. And so Noah failed to handle her. Of course he did, as he bit off more than he could chew. He got drunk, did what he did in the tent. Canaan enters and sees the nakedness of his father. Like we said, she wants to emasculate. Yes? Castrate, if you will. So we've discussed this before, that although he was not his father, but his grandfather, it is still called father, right? God told Jacob in Genesis 28:13, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father. Even though Abraham was his grandfather, Abraham was the main guy, so he's always your father. Okay. Furthermore, it was because of Canaan that Ham saw his father's nakedness as he went and told him, and we'll see this in Genesis 9:22. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness, and he told his two brothers outside. So what did Canaan do? He bound a thread where the mark of the covenant was, and he castrated him. Yep. Why did he do this? Whenever we see in the Torah, Ben Zekunim, the son of the old age, it gives us a hint as to the standing of the son to his father. And that standing, so like Isaac to Abraham and Isaac. Abraham had Isaac in his old age, so he's called Ben Zekunim. Jacob had Joseph, it wasn't in his old age. How old was he? He was 77 when he married Rachel, Leah, and then Rachel. So, and Joseph was only, again, all the pregnancies were 7 months apart. So it wasn't like Joseph was just, okay, I'm bad with math, but basically he wasn't that much younger than his 10 brothers that came before him. But because it was Rachel and he was already considered like, that's it, I'm done. Once he had Joseph, Ben Zekunim, he loved him the most, and that's why he was connected with him, and of course to Benjamin. Okay, so when the father could be the age of the grandfather or great-grandfather, they treat their sons like a grandchild. Spoil them rotten, extra love. You can do nothing wrong. Don't worry about it, right? Canaan knew this. He knew this. And he thought to himself, well, since my grandfather is going to have another son, because he says we want another one for the four corners of the earth, at his already advanced age of 600 plus, he will favor him instead of me, even though he's supposed to love me, I'm his grandchild, but also look at when and where and how he was made. Since he understood that Noah was supposed to have 4 sons, he placed himself as the 4th and robbed Noah's ability to have more children. Now, remember, Canaan was conceived during the time of the flood while they were in the ark. We know, according to the 5 books of Moses and the laws of purity, like we discussed, it is on top of the most strict of the purification laws that a woman must go to a mikveh after she counts 7 clean days when her cycle concludes. If a woman does not do this, meaning keeps the laws of nidah, this is for Jews, okay? The child that is conceived is literally born out of sin, filth, disgust, abomination. I would very even conservatively say that's at least of 50% of the Jews living in Israel today. Most people don't care. They just don't care. This is what's going on. So guess who they're connecting with? This is one of the commands that you must choose death over this transgression. Yehareg v'bal yavo. Gun to your head. Gun to your head. Go be intimate with your wife right now while she's menstruating, or before she even goes. She's done menstruating for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but she hasn't gone to a mikveh. You choose the gun. Chaye olam haba, for God's name's sake. That is dying for the Torah. That's what's up with that. That's how important this is. And also, it's karet, and that nefesh will be cut off from its people. It's not looking up. Okay. So not only was he conceived in filth, but he was conceived by Ham and his wife in the same room that his family were in, as well as all the creepy, crawly things in the world, while everything else in the world, right outside the ark, were being boiled to death. There's no doubt that this child is impurity incarnate. And obviously, we know what happens with Canaan and the land of Canaan, right? He went forth and told his brethren. Ham entered and saw his nakedness. He did not take heart the duty of honoring one's father. It wasn't like, oh, goodness, so, no. Ha ha, ha ha, hey, check this out. Honoring one's parents is likened to honoring God. That is correct. It is the 5th command that connects with commands between God and man and between man and man. Honor your parents. He who curses God shall be put to death. He who curses his parents shall be put to death. You see what I'm saying? God and both parents are partners in the creation of the child. Disrespect one, disrespect them all. Look what he just did to his father. This is why he was not only cursed, mekulal, but he was damned, arur, like father, like son. Genesis 9:24. Vayaketz Noach miyeno. Noah awoke from his wine, not from his sleep, from his wine, as in from her. And he knew what his small son had done to him. Asher asalo bno hakatan. Since God blessed Ham, Noah knew better than to curse him. Even though God blessed them, he did this. He can't curse him after God blesses. Doesn't matter what he did, right? So it began from his immediate descendant, which basically meant Ham. Okay, so it starts from your descendants. You're fine, Ham. What came out of you? Mm-mm. And he said, damned be Canaan, arur Knan, not mekulal, arur Knan. He shall be a slave among slaves to his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be a slave to him. May God expand Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be a slave to them. Done. Again, okay, we say, he also said this to Abraham, right? And to Jacob. All those who bless you, I'll bless. Those who curse you, I'll curse. Arur. All those who try and curse you, I will damn them. You understand what the difference is between being cursed and being damned? We'll get to it in a second. A curse can be lifted. But he told his 2 brothers in the market, making sport of his father. Ham was laughing and ridiculing his father Noah. What are you supposed to do in this case? What did his brothers do? His two brothers rebuked him. Whoosh! What's wrong with you? For starters, what did they do? They took the covering with them, and they went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. Not looking, going backwards. It says, if you read, where is it? I think it's in Numbers. I forget. Where it says Ervat avicha lo tireh, you can't see the nakedness of your father. You can't see the nakedness of your mother, because the nakedness of your mother is the nakedness of your father. Because you can't see the nakedness of your father's wife, who is not your mother, because she is still the nakedness of your father. Staring right at the nakedness of your father is a big no-no. Okay. They took the covering with them. They went backwards, covered the nakedness of their father. It's not just what you do, it's how you do it. Like, here you go, Dad. No. Honor, respect. As it said in Genesis 9:22, and Shem and Japheth took the garment and they placed it both on their shoulders, and they walked backwards, and they covered their father's nakedness, and their faces were turned backwards so that they did not see their father's nakedness. Noah awoke from his wine, not his sleep, not his slumber, not his drunken stupor, but his wine, and he knew. What did he know? Yes, he did. He knew very well what his youngest son had done unto him, and he damned him, as written in Genesis 9:25, and he said, damned be Canaan, he shall be a slave among slaves to his brethren. You see, a curse can be lifted. Here we go. It can be corrected. It can be canceled. It can even be turned into a blessing. But when one is damned, ahul, there's no coming back from that. So let's see just who's not coming back. The damned, in order of appearance. The serpent, Genesis 3. Cain, Genesis 4. Remember, his descendants, we're talking about thousands of years later, still till this day, are making a correction for him. But he himself, damned. The serpent, we know. No coming back from that. Damned. Serpent, Genesis 3. 2. Cain, Genesis 4. 3. Canaan, Genesis 9. 4. Anyone who comes against Israel. Anyone. Genesis 27. 5. Deuteronomy 27 and 28. It has a long list of who is Ahul. Read it. Deuteronomy 27 and 28. Number 6. Any man who would rebuild Jericho. Joshua 6 and 7. And my personal favorite from Jeremiah 17:5. Let's read that. So says the Lord, damned is the man who trusts in man. Where's my mic to drop? כה אמר השם, ארור הגבר אשר יפתח באדם. Again, I say this, not me. So says the Lord, damned is the man who trusts in man. Well, you think you didn't know what he was talking about? Of course he did. And makes flesh his arm. Put a net, yep, straight there. And whose hearts turn away from the Lord. Bingo. It's like with the ribbon on top. There's no coming back from that. If you die believing that man was anything more than what he was, proven beyond a doubt, then damnation is the outcome. Damnation. Never, ever coming out of that, ever, ever. So says the Lord. Yes, be very afraid. Now, God agreed with Noah's damning of Canaan, because later he would tell Israel to completely cleanse the land and thereby the earth of the Canaanites. Sure, they will be slaves. As it says, you will be slaves to them. No problem. But, the Hittites and the Jebusites and all those guys, the descendants over there. So they were slaves later on, as we see, but that was part of the curse, as they would be slaves to Noah's other sons. But as a nation, as a people, they had no future. Now, from here until the end of the chapter, the order had been switched up a bit because it discusses the sacrifices that Noah brought, which that happened immediately after they left the ark, as we read. Okay, so it goes there, and our commentators, they said, okay, whoever copied this, it's a little bit out of order, so we're just going to be going back a little bit. So as we know, this happened when he was leaving the ark before the vine incident. Noah sat and pondered in his heart. He pondered. What did he ponder? All the events that had taken place over the last several hundred years, including, and not limited to, the exit from the ark. Our sages say that he hevin, understood, binah, right? That's havana, lavin. He understood, meaning that he received binah. Binah, we can only receive. Like we have learned, wisdom is information. Binah is what to do with that information. And what to do with that information only comes from God. So let's peer into his understanding a bit. He said, "The Holy and Blessed be He delivered me from the waters of the flood. He brought me forth from that prison, the ark," right? Not minha masgir. And am I not obliged to bring forth before thee a sacrifice and burnt offering? What can you possibly give to He who spoke and the world came to be? What can you possibly offer before the one of which David said, "The land and the fullness thereof are the Lord's, the world and those who dwell therein. For He founded it upon the seas and established it upon the rivers." Everything and everything and everything within everything and everything out and everything in and everything within everything is God's. So what can we give to God? What can we possibly give to God? Ask yourself this question. It's a very important question. What can we give God if He owns everything? Just one thing. There's only one thing that we can actually give God, that God gave us, that He doesn't have, because He made it so. It's gratitude. That's it. And gratitude can come in many different forms, which is why God gave us the Torah and the mitzvot. And again, what do we discuss in the beginning of this drash? We're discussing, if we go through all these difficult times, be grateful, because who gave them to you? Those are the hardest things. That's called a sacrifice, by the way. All right. So going back to the days of Noah, the only gratitude he had heard of was when Adam and Cain and Abel gave sacrifices to the Creator. He remembered the 7 holy animals that God told him to bring on board, and then light bulb. What did Noah do? He took from the clean animals an ox and a sheep, and from all the clean birds a turtle dove and pigeons, and he built up the first altar upon which, there's something wrong with that. He built up the first altar upon which Cain and Abel had brought offerings. Meaning, where was Noah? Noah was on Temple Mount. And he brought 4 burnt offerings, as is said in Genesis 8:20. And Noah built an altar to the Lord, and he took all of the clean animals and all the clean fowl and brought up burnt offerings to the Lord. There's a lot behind all the offerings, why those, and the fowl. But honestly, it's going to take off the focus of this class, so I'm just going to continue with this with your permission. If you want, you could study that on your own. So again, where was this first altar? It was in fact the very first altar to God ever built, also known as our sages say, HaMizbeach HaGadol BeYerushalayim, the great altar in Jerusalem where the first man had sacrificed. And again, Adam was taken from that very spot as well, right? After the flood, it kind of got bent out of shape naturally. Even though there was no water in the land of Israel, we said everything kind of like melted from the heat, which is why Noah built up the already existing altar to God. Why 4 burnt offerings? For him and each of his sons. Yeah. Genesis 8:21, and the Lord smelled the pleasant aroma, and the Lord said to himself, I will no longer curse the earth because of man. See? Remember that. For the inclination of man's heart is evil from his youth, and I will no longer smite all living things as I have done. So again, just pay attention to God's words when he said, I will no longer curse the earth because of man. It's not the earth's fault that man corrupted, nishchata haaretz, man did that. In other words, it was man who caused the earth to suffer. And so next time it will be man who is going to get it and not the earth as a result. Now we're jumping back to our drash. Okay, so we went there and now we're moving forward. Forward to the events as we see God blessing Noah and his sons. But it was only Noah who sacrificed and not his sons. So why did God bless them as well? Because Noah did so on their behalf. See, if we'd done that before, on their behalf, God's like, righteous. And what can we learn from this? What we can learn from this is that if Noah would have done so before the flood, God would have spared the world. Again, the abominations would have to go anyway, regardless. But the sons of men very well could have been redeemed. And so, for our practical and daily use, and not only that, but also our daily Jewish practices, whenever we offer a sacrifice to God, which is today in words, no one get too excited right now, okay? Since we have no altar, our altar today, by the way, what is our altar? Like we said, our altar is our table, where you eat, your kitchen table, your dining table, respect, that's where in a Jewish home, there always has to be salt on the table. And we also always keep wine on the table because there was always salt and wine, on the mizbeach, okay? It's very, very important. Just like your home, your bedroom is the Holy of Holies, right? There's a certain layout. It even says which direction you have to have the head of your bed in. I'll tell you right now, hold on. Yes, so your bed has to face in the same direction as where the temple is facing. So your headboard should be to the east and your feet should be to the west, right? Because your headboard, that's where the Holy of Holies is, and looking outwards, let's say to the Mount of Olives, that is in the, headboard to the east, to the west, it's backwards. Okay, headboard to the west, feet to the east. Yes. Doesn't have to be, but Kabbalistically speaking, it's a good thing for it to be placed like that. Okay, just so you know. Head to the west, feet to the east. Okay, so let's continue. Jewish practices. When we sacrifice, when we pray to God, okay? Whenever we give God honor or recognition before every prayer, again, when we're by our altar, we be sure to praise God before, during, and after food. We learn Torah by the table. Say a Tehillim over there. This way we elevate the food, we make it digest better in our system, and we bring it back to God. Anytime, not only then, at any point in any other prayer that we give recognition to God before every prayer, and every meal on Shabbat and holidays we also do so. We do so on behalf of all of Israel. On behalf of B'Shem Kol Yisrael, I'm doing this mitzvah right now in the name of all of Israel. For the merit of all of Israel, I'm standing as one of Israel. God, I'm doing this in the name of Israel. Your children. Right? This is what we're doing. Now, could you imagine if all of Israel did it in the name of their brothers, right? In the merit, unbelievable. So, B'Shem Kol Yisrael, in the name of all of Israel. This way, if one of us gets the merit, we all get the merit. Because we are bound to one another, like it or not. This is why everything we do, every time, B'Shem Kol Yisrael, it elevates everybody, even just a little bit. And that's the sweet smell that appealed to God. The camaraderie, it was the arvut, the surety that Noah displayed, even if it was a bit late. So here's a trick. I'll give you guys a trick. If you're asking something or anything of God, ask for Israel, and even more so, someone specific from Israel, and then God will grant you what you want. Again, you have to ask it correctly. God, if this is really good and pleasing to you and it will do you honor, then I want that. Otherwise, I don't. But again, you're asking this for another person, right? Okay. So the catch is that you can't fake this in the slightest, though. That's the catch. It's like so I could pray for any. So if I want a new car or house or raise, I'll just pray for Joe Schmo to get it with all my heart, and then God will give it to me. No. Again, you cannot fake this. That's the catch. It's that easy, but it's not easy. If you're already asking for someone else, only that you should get what you want, then obviously it won't count. And even if you convince yourself of it, God knows the truth, and it won't count. No, he really needs it. This is for him. But really, it's because you want something. That's the difference. That's why, by default, make it a habit. Every time you give God honor, recognition, gratitude, I'm doing this also for the sake of all of Israel. That's why I'm doing this. So put that in there. So really, you might even forget that you're actually asking for anything for yourself. You're just praising God. I'm praising you, God, and all Israel is coming with me. Kind of like that. But if you genuinely pray for the betterment of someone else without even thinking of yourself, you will indeed be blessed. So as a result of Noah's actions, what did the Holy One, blessed be he, do? He put forth his right hand and swore to Noah that he would not bring the waters of the flood upon the earth. As we know, the right hand stands for mercy and strength, always the right hand. And as the sages say, you only swear with your right hand. And we could see this in Isaiah 62:8, where it says, the Lord swore by his right hand and by the arm of his strength. There we go. Okay. I will no longer give your grain to your enemies, and foreigners shall no longer drink your wine for which you have toiled. Amen, right? When's that happening? And speaking of Isaiah, this is also where we learn that God swore that he will never destroy the earth on the account of man again, because all we read is covenant, but we don't know the specifics of the meaning of the right hand. So apply it to what may or may not come. Meaning, here, let's read Isaiah 54:9. For this is to me as the waters of Noah, as I swore that the waters of Noah shall never again pass over the earth. So what I was explaining before might have been convoluted. We didn't know that God swore to Noah with his right hand over there, right? Until we got to Isaiah. For this is to me as the waters of Noah, as I swore, meaning God is now saying, I swore that the waters of Noah shall never again pass the earth. So have I sworn neither to be wroth with you nor to rebuke you. So we know that God swore to Noah and with his right hand. And he gave a sign in the rainbow as a sign of the covenant of the oath between himself and the earth. Genesis 9:13, my rainbow I have placed in the cloud, and it shall be for a sign of covenant between myself and the earth. Again, between God and the earth, not the inhabitants thereof. And thus our sages instituted that you should mention the oath of Noah every day, as it is said in Deuteronomy 11:21. למען ירבו ימיכם וימי בניכם על האדמה אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת להם כי מהשמיים על הארץ. How do I know this? In order that your days may increase to the days of your children in the land which the Lord swore to your forefathers to give them as the days of heaven above the earth. If you recognize this verse, we are commanded to read it twice a day, along with the rest of the selected verses that make up the Shema. The covenant with Noah is in the Shema. That is right, because the Noahide laws are meant to be kept by all mankind, and therefore the covenant that God made with Noah and his descendants, as he swore by his right hand, stands forever. As these building blocks are the basic laws of morality, and according to God, they are enough. So that's our class for today. Stick around for next week's class when we get into the Tower of Babel and the generation of the dispersion. Got Nimrod in there and all that good fun stuff. Plenty of clickbait with the title, you'll see. Why are people obsessed with that stuff? I don't know, but all the important stuff they don't want to know about. Right. Okay. Anyway. But as always, and really though, I find it very amusing. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a Chag Kasher v'Sameach. Really, it says v'Samachta b'Chagecha v'Haytach Sameach. Do something. Just be happy. Okay, I say find something that makes you happy and make sure that you are happy for this entire time. Something. You got a favorite beer, right? Wait till you're parched. Make sure it's ice cold and just drink it on your porch watching the sunset. Something that'll make me happy. I don't know. Do something that makes you happy. That makes you really happy. And obviously, gratitude to where it belongs. Anyway, you be good, guys. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.